best known for his piano concerto in A minor. He was born in Bergen and was raised in a musical home. His mother, Jacine B. Hagerup, became his first piano teacher, who taught him to play from the age of 6. He studied in several schools, often bringing in examples of his music to class. In the spring of 1960, he survived. What the hell? He wasn't even alive in 1960. I think that's supposed to be 1860. In the spring of 1860, he survived through a life-threatening lung disease. He finished his studies in Leipzig, Germany in 1862 and returned home to Bergen to hold his first concert. In 1867, Edvard married his first cousin, Nina Hagerup. They had a girl the next year who died from meningitis the following year. In 1876, Edvard composed incidental music for the premiere of Heinrich Ibsen's play Peer Gynt at the request of the author. Many of the pieces from this work became very popular in the orchestral suites or piano and piano duet arrangements. Edvard had close ties with the Bergen Philharmonic Orchestra, Harmonian, and later became music director of the orchestra from 1880 to 1882. In 1888, Edvard met Tchaikovsky in Leipzig. Tchaikovsky thought very highly of Grieg's music, praising its beauty, originality, and warmth. The later years in Edvard's life brought him fame. Even the Norwegian government awarded him a pension. Edvard Grieg died in the autumn of 1907 at the age of 64 after a long period of illness. His final words were, "Well, if it must be so." The funeral drew between 30,000 and 40,000 people out on the streets of his home town to honor him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm sorry for the mispronouncing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, born 26 February 1973 in Kristiansund Moor og Romsdal, is a Norwegian football manager and former footballer who spent most of his career playing for the Manchester United, often dubbed the baby-faced assassin. He is the current Manchester United reserve team manager. He played 366 times for United and scored 126 goals during a very successful period for the club. Solskjaer's defining moment in football came in injury time of the 1999 UEFA Champions League final, where he scored the winning last-minute goal against Bayern Munich, completing a remarkable comeback and winning the treble for United. Whilst at United, he was recognized as a super sub for his knack of coming off the bench to score last-minute goals. Before he moved to England, Solskjaer completed a year's national service in the Norwegian Army and played part-time for the 3rd Division Norwegian Klausenengen FK, later moving to Norwegian Premier League Molde FK in 1994. He joined United on 29 July 1996 for a transfer fee of £1.5 million. He is a patron United in a coaching role, as well as in an ambassadorial capacity. On 20 May 2008, Solskjaer was announced as Manchester United's first full-time reserve team manager since 2006. He also supervises a training academy for young footballers in his hometown of Kristiansund. Solskjaer lives in Bromma with his wife Silje and their 3 children, Noah, Karna, and Elijah. In November 2007, Solskjaer was awarded with the first class of Royal Norwegian Order of St. Olav by King Harald V of Norway, the Norwegian equivalent of knighthood. He was presented with the award in a ceremony on 25 October 2008 in his hometown of Kristiansund. Solskjaer is the youngest ever recipient of the knighthood, usually bestowed upon notable members of society in their later years. Heinrich Ibsen. Heinrich Ibsen, 20 March 1828 to 23 May 1906, was a major 19th century Norwegian playwright, theater director, and poet. He is often referred to as the father of modern drama and is one of the founders of modernism in the theater. His plays were considered scandalous to many of his era, when Victorian values of family life and propriety largely held sway in Europe. Ibsen's work examined the realities that lay behind many facades, revealing much that was disquieting to many contemporaries. It utilized a critical eye and free inquiry into the conditions of life and issues of morality. Ibsen is often ranked as one of the truly great playwrights in the European tradition, alongside Shakespeare. Ibsen was born to Nund Ibsen and Mariechen Altenburg, a relatively well-to-do merchant family, in the small port town of Skien, Norway, which was primarily noted for shipping timber. He was a descendant of some of the oldest and most distinguished families of Norway, including the Paus family. Ibsen later pointed out his distinguished ancestors and relatives in a letter to a critic and scholar, George Brandes. Shortly after his birth, his family's fortunes took a significant turn to the worse. His mother turned to religion for solace, and his father began to suffer from severe depression. The characters in his plays often mirror his parents, and his themes often deal with issues of financial difficulty as well as moral conflicts stemming from dark secrets hidden from society. At 14, Ibsen left home. He moved to the small town of Grimstad to become an apprentice pharmacist and began writing plays. In 1846, when Ibsen was 18, a liaison with a servant produced an illegitimate child whom he later rejected. While Ibsen did pay some child support for 14 years, he never met his illegitimate son, who ended up in similar difficult circumstances. Ibsen went to Christiania, later renamed Oslo, intending to enroll at the university. He soon rejected the idea. His earlier attempts at entering university were blocked as he did not pass all his entrance exams, preferring to commit himself to writing. His first play, the tragedy Catiline, 1850, was published under the pseudonym Brynjolf Charme when he was only 20, but it was not his first play to be staged, The Burial Mound, 1850, received little attention. Still, Ibsen was determined to be a playwright, although the numerous plays he wrote in the following years remained unsuccessful. Ibsen's main inspiration in the early period is apparently Norwegian author Heinrich Wergeland and the Norwegian folk tales as collected by Peter Christian Absjornsen and Jorgen Moe. In Ibsen's youth, Wergeland was the most acclaimed and by far the most read Norwegian playwright and poet. He spent the next several years employed at Det Norske Theater in Bergen, where he was involved in the production of more than 145 plays as a writer, director, and producer. During this period, he did not publish any new plays of his own. Despite Ibsen's failure to achieve success as a playwright, he gained a great deal of practical experience at the Norwegian theater, experience that was to prove valuable when he continued writing. Ibsen returned to Christiania in 1858 to become the creative director of the Christiania Theater. He married Susanna Thoresen the same year, and she gave birth to their only child, a son, Sigurd, in 1859. The couple lived in the very poor financial circumstances, and Ibsen became very disenchanted with life in Norway. In 1864, he left Christiania and went to Sorrento in Italy in self-imposed exile. He was not to return to his native land for the next 27 years, and when he returned, it was as noted but controversial playwright. On 23 May 1906, Ibsen died in Christiania, now Oslo, after a series of strokes. When his nurse assured a visitor that he was a little better, Ibsen sputtered, "On the contrary," and then he died. On 23 May 2006, the 100th year anniversary of his death, the Ibsen Museum in Oslo reopened to the public the house where Ibsen had spent